Okay. Steve Hornsby is on Zoom. Mike is there too, I think. Tom and Norton, or is that using their site? I'd like to call the meeting of the Norton Building Committee to order at 6 o'clock. And I guess that's it. Seeing we have a quorum, all 4 people are here. The first thing is approval of the minutes from July 24th. June 26th. It says July.
That's the agenda. June 26th.
Oh. From June 26th.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Okay. I'm going to abstain because I haven't had a chance to read them yet.
Okay.
I read them.
So, although, easy, slow down. What do you got, a promise or something?
That's Buffy.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved unanimously with, I'll recognize that, Kevin abstained. Okay, mail and correspondence. First of all, I want to acknowledge that I received, Brian has been reappointed to the board. I got a letter from the selectmen, select board. Oh, you want me to do these? Sure, less paperwork. Also, I got notice that I have to write something for the annual report. And I mentioned that I would, in the past, that I'd like to have some photographs, so I'm going to try to work with a couple of people and get some photographs interspersed. The more we can tell the townspeople what's going on, the better it is, although less people get the town report, I think, than their tax bills. But it's a way of informing them. Everybody says they're not informed. Also, I'd like to report that we had the groundbreaking. It went very successfully at the site. It is what it is. We had since our last meeting, we had an issue with the septic on site. I'm beginning to call the site the Nike site because there are more holes in the ground in that than there are at a Nike site. We found probably around 10 manhole covers.
Town hall.
Town hall, I'm sorry, oh, that's right, wrong building. Well, it's a committee meeting.
Yeah, no,
I was
that was
confused,
not
sorry.
knowing what
Okay. It makes it even better that the senior center, community center is on private land where there was only a house. There are less surprises, and it seems every day we're getting another surprise on site. Right now, having visited the site today, there are probably 8 or 9 cables that have been there since, and if you're listening, Mike, this is for you to take care of, that are exposed, that they're waiting to hear from Caroline, is that who's the girl they're waiting to hear from about?
Charlene Fisk.
Charlene, about what to do with them, and they're trying to compact the site and get the footings in and everything else, and in the middle of everything is this conglomerate of pipes that, again, we're not on the drawings, that it seems that every time something's done on a town site, nobody knows about it, nobody records it, and we're finding all the sins of the town in different places. As far as visiting the site for the senior center, things were going well. They wanted to pour concrete today, but we had some delivery problems with the vapor barrier, seemed to be our biggest issue, and We sort of at the pre-construction meetings approved letting them put up the side walls that were prefab. I don't know the new 2023 words, I call it prefab, but they pre-made them at the place that's doing the wall construction. Some were delivered on site last Thursday before I left for out of town, and I expressed my displeasure, which I'm taking a little wind out of Steve's sails, but they showed up not built to our specifications, and I'll let Steve do it to the point that the particle board is actually separating on both sides while they sit there. And I sent an email to Steve right away saying that that's not acceptable to what we're going, and Steve will get into that, which goes into me being on site. I talked about the conduit, I talked about the vapor barrier, Monday pour, it didn't happen. They're still waiting for, what are they waiting for?
Soil test results. which
Oh,
they got
okay,
this
the
afternoon.
test results, then to put down the vapor barrier, then to put down the steel and the reinforcing rod and everything else. And I guess that's all. I did do a presentation to the senior men's breakfast last Wednesday, and as everybody knows, from day one, I've been completely transparent, and I told them of the problems we're having on the senior site versus the problems we're having on the town hall site. I finally came to the realization that I can't speed up the construction of what's going on. I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. It is what it is. Whatever happens, happens. And I trust our OPM and everybody else to get things done the right way. Even though I've been getting advice from the sidelines. I did mention some of the problems we've had. I got some phone calls when I wasn't home over the weekend. I answered those last night. Had to do with no drains in the bathroom. Didn't think they saw sinks in the bathroom. Those kind, no sink on the second floor in the town hall, and that's enough of that. I answered most of those after visiting the sites today, and I think that's everything, other than I have to apologize to Kevin. I guess we found out with the groundbreaking that for some reason I don't have his correct email, so he's not getting the emails, and I will humbly eat humble pie for making that mistake.
No problem. Thank Peter Wiggins for posting it on Facebook. That's all I feel about it.
Well, I did give him a ride home from somewhere, so I guess I paid him back.
Hey, Jim, on
Is
the
he here
topic,
tonight? No, he doesn't look for a ride.
on the topic of emails, I had a conversation with Steve, who was gonna try to arrange for us all to have town emails, so that we get more control.
Oh, good, that'll just confuse me even more.
I'm saying,
Good.
because our
Okay,
personal email shouldn't be posted on the town
that's
website.
probably why he's doing it.
Yes,
I'd say that if he was here.
I probably agree.
Other than that, I've been attending the construction meetings, and I'm gonna repeat what I said, I think at one of the construction meetings. All the construction people for the town hall have to drive by the senior center construction. And it was said to me that it's now become a competition, that they wanna beat the they say we'll be in the town hall before we'll be in the senior center. So, and they started 2 months later than the senior center people, but I don't want that to happen with any faulty construction or anything else, but I think it was
This
just
is not a
said.
race.
Yeah, it's
They'll
a
break the
record.
record.
But I'm sure everything will be right.
I'll talk
So
to,
that's the end of my mail correspondence and chairman's report, all rolled up into one. We can move on to the OPM.
Thank you, Jim.
No? Or do you want to approve minutes first? It's not on my agenda.
All set? You're good. Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. I'll go through the OPM report. starting with the Senior Community Support Center. Progress since our last PBC meeting, just an update on the unsuitables. There's been quite a bit of conversation back and forth on calculation of the volume. At one point, we were around 900 cubic yards. They were at 1,400. We have come down now to 1,019 cubic yards, which is right now included in change order 2 that has been issued to Seaver. And we'll get into the change orders that have been issued to PCOs. But just sort of an update on that volume of material. Perimeter footings and foundation walls have been poured. 9 of the 11 exterior post footings and piers have been poured. The last 2 they have to do with the 2 up front. Backfill material for the foundation wall was delivered, and the backfill has been ongoing. Under slab process material. This is one of their own delays to pouring the slab. We have structural fill that comes up to a certain point, and below the slab it calls for processed gravel. They brought in material that could not reach compaction, and we determined that the material that they brought in was not the material that had been submitted originally, which had to be sent out for testing by Yankee Testing, which was Thursday afternoon. We just got back the results at 4:45 today with a new Proctor number that now confirms that what they put in does reach compaction. But it caused one of the delays for pouring the slab today. Furthering that, and as Jim had mentioned, they were supposed to get their vapor barrier last Tuesday. It didn't come in until, I think, this morning. It was delivered. And there are a number of inspections that have to be done, and those inspections wouldn't occur until we knew that the material that they were using under the slab was acceptable material and had to pass the SIP test, which it did. And we still wanted, for record, for the engineers to have a copy of it. But
I've got a question about the film. So we have approved 7 Proc there from the sample, been identified. They bring fill to the site with a slip from the yard. And you're telling me that what's on that slip was different than what was in the truck? Or did somebody not check the slips?
no, what I'm saying is, at the beginning of the job, they submitted a sample of processed gravel.
Correct.
That was tested, approved, and ready to go. That was X amount of months ago.
So they brought something else.
So when they showed up, material is material, they dumped it, they started spreading it, they compacted it, and when Yankee Testing, who's our third-party testing firm, went to test it using the Proctor from the original sample, they could not get the 95% compaction. It's coming in at 90 or 91.
So in my experience, anytime fill shows up on the job site, there's a ticket that tells you what that fill number is, the soil number, which matches the approved.
The slip says 1.5 inch processed gravel.
You don't say where it came from?
Well, it comes from Lopes, but
Okay. Somebody messed up. Okay.
so, Lopes is a big yard.
So we're just verifying the slips. It was just a different mix.
But it was, I'm saying it's a different material.
Okay.
So
Right.
there are different materials that will pass
Mhm.
requirements, but they had not submitted them. So it just stopped the process because we couldn't let it go. It was under, it was not meeting compaction.
Okay.
So that has,
So it looked to get that in court.
I have a question. So they put it down and it failed, and then somebody else tested it and it was fine? Is that what I'm understanding?
it was, they spread it in the foundation. The company that does our testing had a tech in the field that was doing the field test on it.
Yeah.
He could not get it to pass. So we determined that the material was different from what they had submitted. So in order to find out whether this material was okay or not, we had to take a sample of it, send it back to Yankee's lab, perform a test on the sample to see if it was in compliance with the specs. We just got the results back, it's at 4:45 today. It does meet and is in compliance with the specifications. I said, it's a different material. So the upside of that is they don't have to remove what they put in. If it fails completely, they have to take all that out. So they don't have to do that.
Now we just need to document it.
So when they make fill at a mill, there's a certain percentage of fines and inch and a half inch
So
different.
we thought
It's
we
a
were
mix.
getting 95%, you got something else?
No,
It's
no,
just a different mix.
we need to have 95% compaction, no matter what the material is.
But if the guy couldn't get it to 95 in the yard,
No, we couldn't get it to 95 in the field. That's because we didn't have the right, it's called the Proctor number. It's a density number for certain materials. And what Brian was saying is materials have different mixtures of stone, fines, soils.
So a lot of times when you have a big enough job, when you make it and get the group, they'll set it aside, a big pile, so they know, so it's all consistent. So they probably just took it from different piles. It's slightly different, but Proctor, what was the difference in Proctor? It wasn't much different, right? Numbers.
Well, it
Different
was
enough.
135 versus 140 something.
Yeah, that's a decent amount.
Yeah.
So it might have more fines in it or more number twos or something.
So that was one of the issues. Getting back to what I was saying, the vapor barrier was delayed. They've had some issues with doing the plumbing, which I can go back into my bullets here. The underslab plumbing was installed several times because they didn't follow the design drawings. They followed their coordination drawings, which the firm that did their coordination drawings started off with the wrong invert, and that carried through the entire building. So they had to take everything out, put it in, and then they had to do it one more time because there was another issue. So, long story short, the underslab plumbing has been installed, has been tested, has been inspected by a plumbing inspector, and is now complete. Underslab electric and fire protection was also installed. Typo there, but submittals and RFIs are ongoing. Pressure-treated wood sill has come in. The carpenters were ready to go. They did put in their pressure-treated sill, and then they had the wood panels. They panelized the exterior walls. The wood panels were delivered, however, they were sheathed with OSB instead of plywood, which, again, was not in compliance with the specs. So all those, you've seen them, the piles of panels that are in the front of the yard, all of those have to be remediated to some solution as to whether they're going to be used or not. And we're in the process of doing this. This all occurred on Thursday. So originally they were going to pour on Monday and be able to start working on the slab on Thursday of this week. At this point, I'm thinking that maybe they'll be pouring on Friday. I think they have 3 days for wet cure. They might be able to get on it Monday or Tuesday to start putting up walls if they've corrected the wall panels to ours and the engineers and your satisfaction. They put out some suggestions, but I gave them a list of things that everybody has to sign off on it first.
so they're not just replacing the right stuff, they're gonna monkey with what they have, is that what?
We're not sure yet.
We're not sure.
It's still up in the air. As far as I'm concerned, they can take them up, put the plywood on, whether they do it in the field or whether they do it in the shop. It's up to them as long as they keep the panels square. I mean, obviously, the worst case is that they rebuild them all, but there's quite a few stacks of panels that the contractor doesn't want, or the subcontractor doesn't want.
Not to belabor this point, but we knew Thursday that it was wrong. Why, and I know you probably can't answer this question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Why were they allowed to deliver 3 times as many more defective panels than just keep them at their shop because we're not gonna accept them? And I am not gonna accept OSB over plywood, and I don't think anybody else on this board will do it. So them trying to play, let's make a deal is not gonna work. It's gonna be plywood or nothing.
Well, we're not accepting the OSB. If there's something that they can do and still keep the OSB on the panel, they need to present that to us, because in my conversation with, this is a subcontractor supplying this to Seabird. My conversation with their project manager Thursday afternoon was, tell us where they're gonna start ripping the OSB off. Is it gonna be in the field, or is it gonna be back in the shop? And obviously he didn't have the answer at that point either.
Then I will ask you another question. Is there any way to do this satisfactorily, leaving the OSB on, that you know of in the industry? If that's a yes or no, I mean, you guys have the experience. You
We need
either
a
can do it or
formal
you can't.
proposal from them first. We haven't gotten one yet.
The easiest thing for us to say right now is the OSB is rejected and it requires plywood. If they want to come up with an alternate solution that can be entertained by all involved, including the structural engineer, then we can
Well, the only
look at that.
alternate solution is take the OSB off. I don't care if they do it in the field or on site, but they've got to take it off and put plywood on.
Well, this is gonna be the discussion tomorrow, so that they can go. Because really, at this point, they've delayed because of other reasons, they've delayed the slab pour, so those guys can't go anywhere with those panels now anyways.
Right.
So they have about a week to retrofit them.
And we're probably now 4 weeks behind schedule. We started off like 6 weeks ahead of schedule, and everybody was counting on the wall panels to bring us back onto schedule, and they're gonna put us behind schedule.
Well, we were close to schedule when they thought they were gonna pour on the 7th.
Well,
And then,
that's not what was said last Tuesday. They admitted being 2 weeks behind schedule.
yeah, definitely, yeah. And they were gonna pick up some time by using by the carpenters coming in, but it's
Right.
not happening.
Just a quick question, when the OSB showed up, the clerk inspected it and notified you immediately?
It was known Thursday.
Okay, good, perfect, that's all I wanted.
Yeah.
It was really
Dan-
good.
Just so no one,
So
nobody.
did
nobody
the
questioned.
GC Super.
Right.
Said,
Perfect.
this is supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I was there
Good to hear.
Thursday, about 11 o'clock. And I walked over to the panels to just look at them, see what they're like. And I noticed the OSB was delaminating. And I turned to Dan, who is usually in my back pocket when I'm on the site, and I went, does anybody know? He said, oh yeah, I reported it right away. I went to Chris, who was Seaver's guy, and said, this is wrong, this is not in this, it's not in the specs. I mean, we have a problem. We have a problem with plumbers reading right, we have a problem with carpenters reading right, we have a problem with the contractor reading right. I don't know what happened with reading skills, but nobody seems to be reading the plans and following the game plan.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, well, it's not happening. You're here, but you're catching it, you're not prohibiting it.
It's not 90%.
I'd lock the gate. If I saw that truck coming, I'd run out and lock the gate, and not let him in, but that's me. But
It's not the clerk's site.
Yeah, it gets into the means and methods, which we can't dictate.
I mean, it's just amazing that all up and down the whole thing, people are not reading things correctly. And, and I was gonna bring it up later, but if you look at some of the pictures, the nipples aren't off the forms either. Going up there today, they're still there. I mean, Chris is sitting there sulking, and I'll say it, I don't care if Seaver's watching this on TV. He's sitting, he could be out there with a chisel, and maybe it's not within his scope of practice, knocking off those and not just sitting there sulking because nothing is going his way, or he's not stopping it, or doesn't have the power to stop it, or what's going on. But he's certainly not helping his boss by accepting. I mean, there's panels all over the place, and they should not be there. But go on with your presentation.
Again.
So just to show some of the progress that's occurred over the last month since our last PC meeting, sort of chronologically speaking, end of June, they were backfilling the interior and the exterior of the foundation with the structural fill, which we did not have an issue with. And on the 11th, the foundation insulation was installed. They do have yet another little issue with how they did the blocking here, which needs to be corrected. But the insulation itself seems to be okay. Electrician on the left-hand drawing is the underground electrical conduits going from inside the building to the exterior, which is in the foreground.
Steve, before you change that, I'm sorry. If you notice in the left-hand picture, the vertical lines, there's 2 dots there. Those are the nipples I'm talking about.
The
They're supposed to have
form ties.
smooth.
Form ties.
Form ties, okay. Form ties.
Right here.
I'm a civilian, I'm not a contractor.
They are on field
The form
reports
ties are still there, and they're
for
not
the
supposed to
last
be there.
3 weeks.
You can move on.
Next, the photo on the right is essentially the conduits, and then this is your fire sprinkler line that's been stubbed outside the building, all in preparation for the slab pour. Picture on the left, this is around July 11th. This is where you can see we've got the electrical conduits in, but the plumbing piping is dismantled and on the ground, and the trenches are being re-excavated so that the inverts are correct. By the 18th, they had the plumbing correct. It's all their uprights for their vents and drains, and this is the level where they're starting to do. They were going to start doing processed material. And on the 19th, this is where we have. You can see there's a little bit different coloration. Brown material. This was the material that would not pass compaction, which we just got the results back from the testing company this afternoon. Photo on the right is the beginning of putting the pressure-treated wood sill, the sill seal, perimeter of the stem wall. And these are the analyzed wall sections that we were discussing. It's not a good photo, but the sheathing here is the OSB that is not supposed to be there, is not in compliance with the specifications. They have the various piles of panels that will have to be corrected.
The optics make the site look good that we're making progress, but
So,
other than that, it's not serving a useful purpose.
so those are, when it says they're prefabricated, does that mean it comes with the insulation already stuffed in between it?
No, it's just the framing.
Oh, it's just,
Yep.
because it looks like a, so.
Yeah, no, there's.
No, they are all boxed in.
There's OSB
There's
all in
nothing
one
in the
side.
box.
OSB's just on one side.
Right.
I'm not-
And the OSB is oriented straight forward.
Chip wood.
Chip ordinance. So, schedule look ahead, complete the exterior footings and piers in the front of the building, complete the backfill for the slab on subgrade, which did this presentation before we had the results, so now we know that the material can stay. Pour and cure the slab on grade, and then remediate the wood wall panels and erect the perimeter walls. Their task for the next few weeks. Other issues for the senior center, just an update on the Mass DOT permitting. We did get the curb cut permit. We're still working through the water utility permit, and I've been in touch with electric and gas. They are also going through the permitting process with Mass DOT, all for, because the work is either in the street or in the right-of-way of Route 140. The FF&E working group, I just added to this, next meeting is going to be after samples are delivered, which is probably going to be in August sometime. Other issues, the AZAC composite rubber brick patio, We have yet to receive the pricing for the option 2, although we talk about it every week. And they say every week we'll have it by Friday. I'm not sure which Friday, but
Like the pause on Monday, yeah. Christmas is on December 25th.
the wood wall panels, like we talked about at length, it was delivered as OSB versus plywood sheathing, and the processed gravel, which we went through, was delivered as a different material, which couldn't achieve compaction, and we didn't test the material, so it can stay. As far as change orders go, we had change order number 1 that we've gone over before. Change order 2 has been issued to Seaver for signature. PCO 7R and suitable soil removal replacement. Sorry, I forgot to fill in the last numbers, but it came in originally at $305,000. We have finalized it at $220,276.80, and that is based on a unit price that was part of the contract. So once we get the volume, we'll just be able to Then, as we had discussed before, the factory applied premium color was $17,405.24. That was PCO 8. And then PCO X, they have not submitted a PCO for this, but we issued a proposal request with the leading asbestos coated material for the foundation, which did not occur. There was a carry of 500 tons of that material, again at a unit price. So we've issued a credit of $151,000 to be applied to change order 2. So our total on change order 2 comes in at $86,682.04. So that's out for their signature now, and once it comes back, we'll have my units sign that change order.
The first item, is that the 900 yards?
Correct.
Or 1,100, no, it's
Anyway, 1,018.
18 or something like that, okay. And then the bottom one, we're just including that because it's the unit price. That agreed we get, but you just put directly change it.
There really can be no argument.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
It is
right
gonna
in the
work.
spec.
Well, they don't need a
It's
PCO?
an
then?
environmental.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we sent the PR to do the process. They never submitted anything, so we
Okay.
talked about, so we're gonna include the change order
There you
too.
go. Works for me.
Yep. And then, open PCOs we have right now is the AZEC rubber brick, what we submitted and what we're waiting for. We had some occupancy sensors for some lighting and large program room. We sent some comments back that they haven't returned. Same thing with the voltage and electrical phasing revision, which was a small one, but we did have some comments. And then the fire line revision. So once those get finalized, we'll put those in change order 3. Any questions about this?
I have a question on the fire line division. Is that the main line feeding the sprinklers?
Yes.
Now, that's on the side of the building and we're fairly close to the street. And I don't know the price of cast iron pipe, but why is it so much from the original price?
Well, it's a credit. What happened was,
It's in parentheses. Thank you, sir.
we credited we determined that the change would be made after the file sub-bids came in. So we made the change before the general bid was issued. So it's owned by the general contractor with the site contract. But once the contract was awarded, then the PR was issued to delete it from the sprinkler deck.
Okay, I misread it's a credit, I don't really care. Next item.
We like credits.
So you had it twice?
It was a timing issue.
Oh,
Yeah.
We got the change from the water department right before the file bids were due, and we couldn't make any changes to them.
okay. So you bought from the big ball?
Pretty much.
Yeah, we got files up there, right? This one.
Well, no, it went to the GC, and the file bid work got reduced.
Okay. Works for me.
Okay, so town hall. Progress since our last meeting.
One question. about the sidewalk? What's that any idea of the magnitude of the
Still
sidewalk
waiting on a
that they
price.
just put in that goes to nowhere?
Still waiting on a
It's out
price.
for pricing.
That was carried like 8.
Well, the condos up by Roach Brothers have a sidewalk in front of it. They're going to nowhere.
Exactly, but this one has a reservoir both sides. Where are you gonna go?
It is what it
It's a
is. The
state
state
law that
says
makes
you want a
those-
sidewalk, you get a
Yeah, well,
sidewalk.
also didn't put across the street at Amazon either, but whatever.
Next.
Town hall progress, tree cutting was completed, stump and grubbing is completed now, rough grading, boulder removal. We did have one was demolished under the unit price because of its size. The relocation of the gas line to the DPW has been completed. Relocation of electric, fire alarm, and the telecom to the DPW is ongoing right now. Additional existing septic and cesspool, the cesspools, tanks, whatever you want to call them, have been discovered. Probably got 4 additional structures that have been covered with pine needles and dirt and so
They
forth.
abandoned?
No, they were full.
Hadn't been touched in 15, 20 years, so.
So we, stepping back a little bit, we did have an issue where contractors ran over a known manhole, broke the cover, material got in the manhole, caused a backup that backed up into the lower level of maybe the fire department. The fire department realized it, made the call. The turnaround was pretty quick by the contractor, but the town called Soares Sanitation, which is their vendor for pump outs. He came out, cleaned out that manhole. They had actually broken the lid, and that was down in the manhole also. Ran his jet down the pipe that heads towards the leaching fields, and then we found that one of the clay pipes was also broken because he had his jet head stuck in it. So the next morning, the contractors came out early and started it before 7 to carefully excavate that. They retrieved Soares hose and jet head, pulled that back out, fixed the pipe, and then have temporary covers over the ones they knew about. And since that time, they found another 4. Like I said, I'm calling them cesspools because of their age. But I think they were cesspools and then they were connected with piping over time. Because I often wondered, how did we have a leaching field in the middle of the forest? And I think that's what it was done. It just sort of went in between trees.
So, again, they have to be removed.
They're slated to be removed.
They have to function for another year.
Until the new systems installed.
What is served by them?
So what?
I guess is my question.
Okay, so what we've done in the meantime is, when we found these, we recommended to the town, Chris saying, to bring Soares back and pump those out. So we actually have more capacity now than we did for years in the existing system. And it services the town hall fire department and the DPW, at least. I'm not sure whether the library is tied into it or not.
Because what I'm nervous of is the ones that were full, as you said, and been full for 15 years, aren't functioning anyway.
No, they're not full anymore. They were full because they weren't being pumped out. No one knew the covers were there. They were covered up with, like I said, branches and
A lot of times, they'll just build another one and it's not big enough, just like that, like you said. So, okay, sounds
I will say that Mike Units was very impressed at Steve's response, the contractor's response, the fire. It's luckily the fire department went down in the cellar. They have a gymnasium. They went down and found 2 inches of water and whatever, and tried to figure out what it was. The process was started. Everything including ServPro to clean everything up was completed in less than 24 hours. So there was no, I mean, you're looking at a building that only used 8 hours a day other than the fire department. So the damage done was caught early, it was remediated, and Mike, and it just proved that we're all a team, the construction team, the engineers, the architects, everybody, the town. I mean, they had the town, they used the town's sump pumps, and talking with the fire chief got asked, I believe, by the contractor or one of the subcontractors about any expenses he had, and he did not want to reuse the sump pumps in your house if you have flooding, to the taxpayers that are out there. So he's putting in a bill for a sump pump, some hose, and some other stuff, and the contractor was very happy with it, that he said he was just going to submit it to his insurance anyway. So it's costing us and the town, I believe, nothing, but everything was cured. But it's another surprise having to build on a town property that we didn't expect.
I was just nervous that it's not functioning correctly in the first place. And
I don't understand.
Just like the high
that-
school field where we found 4 storm drains that weren't on paper either.
Well,
I mean, I'm
I
paying the
don't.
money to fix them. I'm just nervous, that's all.
Okay, you can be nervous, but if it wasn't functioning when they were full, why would it not function when they've been emptied and cleaned? And nobody was noticing they were not functioning when they were full, so even if they were still there,
We actually think it's, potentially bettered the system,
That's good. Right.
for the year that it needs to be still
There's much
functional.
more capacity.
Yeah, and as far as I know, contractors already paid for the pumps and hose that was contaminated, and the initial pump out by source, and the secondary pump out, that was more
it was
maintenance.
covered by the town, so.
So that was a little fire drill that we had.
No pun intended.
Building corner layout's been done, foundation footing, subgrade has been prepped, geotech has been out computed and has accepted subgrade. Rebar and mesh has been delivered today, and then, as we know, the groundbreaking was held on the 13th. Photo documentation for the last month, going back to the end of June. We've got tree and stump removal. There's on the left, on the right, got a stump pile in front of in the area of the DPW that was hauled out. Also at the end of June, they did the trenching for the gas line relocation to the DPW. That's the end heading towards DPW on the right, where we cut across the parking lot behind the town hall, made the connection to the existing gas line. Put in an inch-and-a-quarter line service that is the same as what had been the service line originally. On July 11th, you can see rough grading is being done. A lot of the areas is much clearer now, clearer at that time. The 18th started doing some of the rock breaking. A number of the rocks were well within the size limit. This one on the right, I believe, was like 80 cubic yards, so that's a pretty big boulder.
It took them 2 days to break it up, too.
Yeah, they were doing with the whole area. Also on the 18th, rough grading and hauling of excess material, loading it with the Euclid, and then they were systematically hauling material off. On the right-hand side is relocation of the power and the low voltage to DPW, in a separate trench out of the footprint. The reason we had to do relocation is because all these lines ran through the footprint of the building, so we had to move them over and get them ready to do a switch over.
So they're empty now, right?
Yeah, yes. And then this is on the left. That's the town, but we're picking up the power from the electrical in the basement of the fire station. So this goes up behind the fire station, and right next to where the generator is. They pour it through the building photo on the right is recent, where we're bringing in structural fill to bring in the grade in preparation for the footings.
Are those other conduits you showed earlier going to be a duct bank too?
Yeah. And then just a couple photos from the groundbreaking on the 13th. The schedule look ahead, footings and foundations are slated to start Wednesday of this week. Rebar was delivered this morning. And the site guy will go on to site utilities and probably starting a new septic system that's beyond the existing one. It has been excavated. Some other issues, the septic system, we went through in a fair amount of detail. I won't go through that again. They did have another issue where when they were doing the excavation for the footings, they hooked the conduit that provides the power to the DPW. It was just in conduit, it wasn't in duct bank, it didn't have tape, but it was in an area where, you know, we knew it was somewhere. They probably should have been a little bit more careful. Right now, sorry, I've got a couple typos in there, but they're operating off of a generator. Initially, the DPW set up their own generator. The contractor brought theirs in. They'll run off of that generator until they are able to do the switch over to the relocated power. So that was another unfortunate issue. Any questions on progress or schedule? Okay.
The only thing I wanted to say is on the stump removal, the Diggett people who are doing the tree removal hired a local, and I can't remember, I'm horrible with names, the contractor that's across from Mike's. Nobody wants to give me a name.
On Taunton Ave?
On, no, 123, that's one, no.
140. Mike's Pizza?
Huh?
Mike's Pizza?
No. No, it's not mine. The downtown, I'm sorry.
Oh, isn't that
Dorrance.
Dorrance.
Dorrance, yeah. They hired Dorrance to do the stump removal, so we're using, and I brought this up to Senator Feeney, that the State House is sitting with a whole bunch of money from different places, like the last figure I heard was $8 billion. And if we're using local contractors and local employees, they should be releasing some of that money to see if we can get another couple of million to decrease the cost of the taxpayers. He told me to go up and pick up a check, but I'm not that easy to persuade to drive to Boston, but I'm glad. And also the sprinkler system is being put in by a local contractor. So we are hiring local people. So the money that's being spent on this is going, some of it's going back to the townspeople in town. Go ahead. Go down.
Proposal requests, we've issued 7 proposal requests. Did we issue any?
I think we did, didn't we? It's 8.
Motion sensors?
Motion sensors.
Yes, okay. So we've got actually 8, 7 we've retracted. And then as far as proposed changes, we've got 8 that have been submitted to date by M. O'Connor. PCO 1R and 2R, we're recommending approval. We've gone over those previously. PCO 3 was the credit for the filed sub-reconciliation. That was issued as change order number 1. PCO 4R3, we're going back and forth on some pricing on the septic system to add the effluent filter that Board of Health wanted. Right now that's sitting at $4,123.34, and we're finalizing that. We did get some recent updates from last week. Just wanted to finalize on PCO 5R2 was to add electrical connection for the septic control and pumps. That had both electrical and site working. That was at $19,164.36. PCO 6R1, that was the additional scope for the power, fire alarm, and cable TV located feeds to DPW. That's the one that started out at 100,000, we're at about 60,000 now. I think we got just some minor comments, but that work, well, the scope has been agreed to, so that's been ongoing to keep schedule. PCO 7 we had gone over on previous meetings, that was recommended for approval. And then we've got a PCO 8 is a new one, was revising a power connection for the ERV in the main distribution panel. It came out to be a credit of $271, so that just came in. So right now, with proposed change orders and issue change orders, we're at an overall credit of $52,000. So that's just going into contingency at this point.
And 23,000 of it is upgrade to a defective septic system that the town hall already had. So we're fixing something for the town that doesn't have, that they would have had to pay for themselves. That's just an editorial note.
What's on the site?
I'm not following it, but I think
Okay. Requested improvement on septic to add effluent filter.
Oh, you mean PCO
Yes.
4 and 5 together?
Add electrical connection for septic controller and pumps
That's for the new system.
for a new system. Thought we were keeping the old system.
Temporarily.
Only for the year. Before, until.
So we're gonna put in a new system after a year?
Putting it
I
in
thought
now.
we were gonna rely on the water department, I hate to say this, to have the town's sewer in the area. But after a year,
They
we're
can't meet the
going,
date.
okay, I'm confused, but I'll get it straightened out some other time.
It's a new septic system that's going in. And then whatever happens with the sewer line, that's
I know that's,
down the road. It's not part of our scope right now.
So is there 3 buildings in the new center? Which is the town hall?
No, it's definitely DPW, town hall and fire building. I believe the library is, and I'm not sure about
Police have their own, I believe the library is.
you'd never find it, as history says.
Luckily, I don't need to.
So that's all I have for
Any
my
questions?
review.
Okay, now we can do the minutes.
I abstain.
He abstained.
Oh, yes, it did, okay.
For the
What
next
day is
meeting,
it?
6 o'clock.
It's six, it's
Wednesday.
5 minutes to say, oh, if anybody is watching, and if you're watching, you're obviously interested, most of the heavy lifting is done on these projects. We're looking for somebody to fill in for Bob Maderas. Please call Mike Units or notify the selectmen. If you're watching, you're interested, please, we need another member, so we have another set of eyes on what's going on. And probably as a final thing to Mike, which you weren't on when I made the last sarcastic remark, we still have the conduits and stuff sticking up at the town hall site that we're waiting for Christine.
Charlene.
Charlene. Well, I was close, CH. You know, horseshoes, hand grenades, to get back to everybody so that we can backfill that and correct it, so. And they want to beat the senior center people, so we don't want to hold them up.
It's not a race.
Huh?
It's not a race.
Slowly, steady.
Gentlemen's bet.
Okay, I guess, any other comments,
You don't need
questions?
approval on any change orders at this point?
Have delegation authority.
I am gonna try my best to get this brick thing straightened out. But like Steve says, we say at every construction meeting, every Tuesday, and the guy from SEVA says to somebody else who's online, do this, we need it for the next meeting, or we need it for the Monday night meeting, and they don't follow through. I have no idea why. We have enough other things to pick on them for tomorrow, but I will still bring that up. I want to get it cleared. We still haven't poured the concrete for the back patio or the foundation for the brick. So we're still not into, quote, a change order cost, because they haven't done it yet. So, you know, I'm gonna hop on it because we're here to save the taxpayers money. And again, I wanna thank everybody for helping with the sewage problem that we had. The team came together. We are a team, we're a committee. We're all working together, whether it be the townspeople, the town's boards. I mean, the building inspector's been in on a couple of these meetings. A few other, the health department, Mike's there all the time, fire chief, you know, and then we have other people that are involved. So thank you very much, and I will entertain the very important.
Next meeting.
Oh, we have to have another meeting?
21st and the 28th.
21st or the 28th, who has an objection to either one of those?
28th.
I didn't bring my calendar, so I didn't know.
28th.
I see a motion for the 28th.
Sold.
28th it is, 6 o'clock. Can we use the senior center again, Beth?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
When can we use the new senior center?
We can go anytime, as soon as they
Just
pour the
We can sit
foundation.
out there with umbrellas if you want.
I have a trailer if you want to go in the trailer.
Fun.
Yeah, we don't want to go in the house. It's got no air conditioning.
I'm on vacation then.
Can't even get air conditioning in his own office. Okay, now I will entertain the most important motion of the night.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Thank you for all you do.